Jeff, sorry, Jeff. I feel like one of the concerns with a loss like the one against Minnesota is that for as improved as you guys looked, it was still obviously a very close and tough loss, and something like that can sometimes linger. But you had said after the game you're confident you guys will bounce back. What kind of sense have you gotten from your team here over these past couple days? How have they looked to you? Has the team's overall spirit kind of been?
Yeah, it's been good. We've had good practices. We got together on Thursday, and like I said, we reviewed everything, talked about the positives, talked about the things we didn't do well, and got back to work. Had a really good day on the court. Thursday didn't go long, and I thought we had a really good practice today. Attitudes have been good. Excited for the first conference game. You know, one of the things in what we do, you have to move on. You have to have the ability to move on, and it seems like we've done that. Hopefully, it shows tomorrow.
Jeff, Virginia is one of those programs that never seems to be really high scoring. They like to slow it down, defensive minded team. How can you guys, you guys have only been giving up 50, 60 points, defending pretty well lately. What are the keys for you guys to pull away and give them a run tomorrow?
Yeah, well, we have to, defensively, we have to keep them out of our paint. We have to contain penetration. You know, we have to do a good job on Gardner, who's their leading scorer, who's a guy that can, he's mainly inside, although last game against Iowa, he stepped out and made 2 threes. But we have to do a really good job of keeping them out of our paint and making them contested shooters. We know that they're going to be extremely physical. That's how they play. And so we have to be able to match that. And then offensively, we have to be able to produce some points. They're a very difficult team to score against. And, we have to be connected in what we're doing. We have to know what we're doing. And then we have to be able to go out and execute against their physicality.
Yeah, with this Virginia team, Jeff, they run a lot of what they typically do, at least as far as how they play defense, the pace that they play at. I mean, but they obviously lost a bunch of guys from last season. What to you differentiates this Virginia team from ones that you faced in your time at Pitt and even before that?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things is that they've been a program that's mainly been older, meaning they've had experienced guys in their program. Whether it's most of their post guys since Tony has been there have redshirted. And so you get these like 5th-year seniors, or you get these guys, just like a lot of schools, I shouldn't say most, a lot of schools around the country, they were greatly affected by the transfer portal, by the way the rules changed. And so they have some older guys, but they're new to their system. And so I think that's the big difference, whether it's a Gardner, whether it's a Franklin, guys like that. And then the rest of the guys are younger. Now Clark is still there, who's a national champion. Beekman's still there, who's a guy that played for him last year as a sophomore. Shedrick is there. He didn't play much, but he got to play against Huff and learn their system and things like that. But they have a lot of new faces. I think that's probably the main difference. The style of play is still the same principles, the same core values, but the personnel is just a little bit different.
Jeff, you've seen this program quite a bit, a lot more than your players. I mean, how tough, it's kind of an elementary question, but how tough is it for you to turn around and teach them how to play against a style like this? There's not much time.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, but that's the nature of what we do. We don't have the luxury of a week between each games, and you have, 5 or 6 days to prepare. We have to get right to it. And, again, the thing we try to do, we try not to overload our guys. We want to try to play to our principles defensively, do the things that we do. Obviously, you have a game plan, you have a way that you want to do some things, but we try to keep it simple for our guys and then try to show them and teach them in the 2 days that we have. We'll use tomorrow as a teaching day as well. When we go over and do our shoot around, that'll be the final preparation, but try to show them some things that we think hopefully can be effective against them.
Do you have people that can present that defense to your guys?
No. I mean,
it's hard to do,
we don't
right?
have that's the part that's tough, not just about them, but about anyone. You can't, we're trying to do it, but it's not the size, the speed, the athleticism, and the experience, like the knowing of what they do. And so you try to do the best that you can, and hopefully, we can go out. And that's why we try to stick to our principles. Again, we try not to get them to remember plays or anything like that. We want them just to play to our principles defensively, and then try to show some things that we think can be effective offensively.
How would you describe those principles, Jeff? Like, what would you say are this team's in this program's principles?
Virginia or us?
Oh, sorry, you guys.
Oh, well, we want to be good defensively. We want to be a team that fights, that scraps. We want to play hard. We want to be smart offensively. We want to try to be efficient. Now, we haven't been successful in those two areas. And again, the main thing is that we want to fight every day. Every time we step out there, we want to fight. We want to try to get better and try to fight together.
Do you feel good for the fact that it was even a loss, that when you played a team, this last team from a really good conference, you could have won that game? I mean, I'm trying to look at through your eyes as a coach. You've had some bad games against some inferior opponents probably, but now you're playing against a team that was pretty good. What do you take from that?
Well, I'm not satisfied. I'm not happy. It's a loss. I don't look at it as people being inferior to us. I don't look at it that way, and I don't think most coaches do. Maybe outside world does, but there's so much parity in college basketball right now, and it doesn't matter the conference, the affiliation, or things like that. If you look around the country, a lot of people are getting beat, and so we don't look at it like that. Certainly not satisfied with the loss. I do have to look at some of the things that we did well. I understand fully that we're in a tough stretch right now. Like, I get that. I understand better than anyone, to be quite frank, what we are going through as a team, as a program right now. And the thing, like I said, after last game, I'm really proud of our guys continue to show up with a good attitude and trying to get better. And I'm a firm believer if we continue to do that, that we will get better, and that will eventually equate to wins.
You had talked about Gardner earlier, Jeff. I think he was a guy that you guys at least looked at during the offseason here, as a potential addition. What about his game, and what about what he does really stands out to you? Like, what seems to kind of separate him from, maybe from some of the other guys on that team?
Well, just, looking at him when he was at East Carolina, and then now, like, he scores. He scores the basketball. He can put the ball in the basket. He rebounds at a high level. And he's been everywhere he's been. He's been a very efficient scorer. He's a good player. He's been a good player since high school and since he's been in college, and he's done a really good job at Virginia.
Jeff, Nate only played 6 minutes the other night. Was there anything was about game flow, about lineups, rotations that you saw, or was there any injury stuff or anything like that?
No, it was just my decision.
And do you expect him to play, a bigger role maybe against Virginia, or is it just you'll see based on rotations?
Yeah, we'll see based on rotations. He's an important player for us. We need him.
Jeff, you guys were obviously thrown for a loop going into the season, losing two guys you were planning on counting on in the week leading up to your first game. How much have you seen this team offensively start to gel more? Like, how much do you kind of see what you guys are trying to do offensively with this new group taking hold?
Well, it's been a struggle. It's absolutely been a struggle. I mean, we've been a team that's not shot the basketball well. To start the season, we had 3 guys out because Jamarius was out the first couple of games as well. And even now that he's played, I think 5 games, I think he's been back with us for 14 days, maybe 15 days now, where he's actually been able to play and do things. So it was a big blow to us, having those 3 guys out, only having 1 scholarship guard in Femi, the other guard being a walk-on, that has experience, but he's still a walk-on. And so there have been slight adjustments that we've tried to make, but it's been a struggle offensively. Look, we have 2 guys out right now that I think at a minimum, if they were here, at a minimum, I think it's 24 points more a game. That's a minimum. You're thinking both of those guys are averaging around 12. Those two guys with Nike and Ithiel were two guys that can shoot the basketball from deep. They have pop to them. They're older. They can drive the basketball. They can create offense for themselves and others. And so, again, when you have those guys out, JB at the beginning, having three guys out, it's been a huge adjustment. Guys have had to step up in different roles. Guys have had to, play more minutes than maybe they anticipated, and certainly we anticipated them in different positions. That's why, for me, I know what we're going through, and I'm proud of the fact that we've continued to show up. Now, are we happy with that? No, we want to win. We want to win, and we're working very hard to do that. I'm a big believer, as long as we continue to have the right attitude, we show up, and we work, and we have the right mindset, that will eventually happen. It will eventually happen for us. And there's no one that's working harder than my players, our staff, and what we're doing trying to rectify this. But it's been a big blow. If you take Clark and Beekman off of Virginia, you take, Roach and Keels or Wendell Moore off of Duke, and let's see how different, they are. And so it is different. It is different. It's two big blows. But you know what? That happens. We have to figure it out. And that's our job as coaches, to figure it out. And we're going to continue to work and hopefully we can figure this thing out.
Coach, coming off that, you're used to winning. You come from winning programs. You're a winner. How hard has this been on you? Have you changed some game planning? Have by trying to motivate them, have you learned? I mean, what has this taught you, this struggle?
Well, I appreciate that question. It's been hard. It's been difficult. It's been very challenging. I am used to winning. And so it's been difficult, but my job as a leader, I think a leader's job is to show up every day, is to try to be positive, make sure we're prepared, make sure I'm prepared for them, and trying to do everything I can to help our guys have success. I personally, Kelly, I don't care about me. Like I've had a lot of success. I've been able to accomplish some things in the game of basketball as a player and as a coach. I've been a part of some amazing experiences. I want these guys to have an amazing experience. And so that's why I hurt, because we're not able to do that. We haven't been able to do that. And so my job right now is to try to show up every day, be positive, make sure we're prepared, try to teach. One of the things I told them last week, it was Thanksgiving Day. In life, you go through hard times. Some of you have been through hard times. When you leave college and you get to the real world, it's hard. Life is hard. And a big thing about successful people is that they show up, even when things aren't well, things aren't going well. And so that's why I'm proud of our guys, because in the midst of these very challenging times, we've continued to show up. We've continued to try to fight. And that's something we have to continue to do.
Jeff, obviously you would prefer circumstances be different here, but do you think going through struggle together builds camaraderie, builds togetherness?
I think it can. I've also seen where it can separate you too. And so again, we have to stay together. We have to believe in each other, and we just have to keep fighting. And I think if you do that and you're able to stay together, then you can figure it out.